Alright, so Forgotten Realms is right around the corner, and people are pretty tired of, well, the same old ultimatum, the same old aggro decks, monocolored aggro decks, and the same old adventure decks. Yet the best deck in the format is not played very much. Why is nobody playing Jeskai Mutate? Well, the deck is really hard to learn and even harder to master, but if you manage to get to a certain point with the deck, the rewards are crazy. I managed to cash in a weekend tournament while making a ton of mistakes against some really good players. How do I do this? Well, keep watching to find out. Quickly how the deck works. Objective is basically to play a Goldspan Dragon and mutate stuff onto it. Every time you mutate onto a Goldspan Dragon, it's going to make a treasure token, which taps for 2 mana. Using that, you can loop Prismari Command and unsubstantiate from your graveyard. Prismari Command can target Goldspan and create a treasure token itself to essentially create 4 mana, while unsubstantiate will be able to, for free, loop your Goldspan Dragon back to your hand, and you can do it all over again. And on to sideboard. Light of Hope is mainly enchantment hate, so against people who bring in Whirling Vortex, primarily, and Improbable Alliance, and Titan's Nest players. Otherwise, you can use it to get a mana off of your Goldspan by targeting itself for a 1/1 counter. Red Cat melee is mainly Goldspan Dragon hate. It'll sometimes come in against cycling if I find the opponent's holding their Ironcrag Pyromancers. Sometimes they get sided out though, so generally I wait until I see they're keeping it in. Otherwise, it comes in against mono red for obvious reasons. Disdainful Stroke is mainly for ultimatum and the mirror. Doesn't really come in against anything else. Cinderclasm is for aggro hate. A lot of adventure stuff against the small monocolored aggro decks as well. Also comes in against cycling. Rip Apart is enchantment hate. It also comes in to deal with problematic 3 health creatures for us, like Dreaded Magistrate and Archon of Emeria, which actually does come up. Macebind Tomb is control hate. It's for grindier matchups, but it ends up coming in as a replacement to Seize the Spoils in a lot of different matchups. Mystical Dispute is blue hate. Sea-Dash Octopus is mainly control hate. I had a lot of problems with control brews coming into this tournament, so I wanted something to kind of like force interaction with them. Phoenix Savash is primarily for rogues, but you can also use it as a recurable threat against the control decks to try and force them to use their answers so you can get your combo off. Anyway, that's it for the sideboard. Let's get to the gameplay. Hope you enjoy. So game 1 is against Mono Green. We are on the play, and this game 1 is a perfect example of why you should play some games before the tournament starts. I totally throw this away. But my thinking here is there's no blue in the hand, which is really relevant. If you're missing a color in this deck, you can get really screwed over. But I have Spikefield Hazard and I have Fire Prophecy, which are both very good in the matchup. You really want to be able to control those 1/1s to basically control Lovestruck Beast. You don't want it really hitting you all that much. And really one of the reasons why this deck performs so well in the current meta is because Spikefield Hazard is such an effective card, and we can run 4 of them because it functions as a land, as removal, and as a combo piece when you're trying to combo off with your mutate creatures. Unfortunately, Spikefield Hazard is not great against Storm Scrambler. And that's really why I throw this match away. I make some really stupid mistakes later on. So to save us time, basically what ends up happening is the opponent has a Lovestruck. I choose to Fire Prophecy the Swarm Shambler to prevent it from attacking, but it makes a 1/1. Read your cards. And then they play an Ooze, and I can't use these spells in my graveyard to combo off, so I die. Yikes. My goal for the rest of the tournament is just literally not to repeat this game that I just played. So, moving on to sideboards. Seize is always a questionable card in this matchup because it kind of depends on, like, am I going to have time to fire it off somewhere, but if I keep it in and I manage to use it effectively, it combos off super quick. We add the Cinderclasms to control Lovestruck. Notably, it won't target the Swarm Shambler. We add Rip Apart, once again, just for targeting. I choose to take the negates out here and add the Disdainful Stroke. Disdainful Stroke is kind of hit or miss. Like, it doesn't totally sometimes it can just be a blank card. It's the same with negate, But I find now that I've played the matchup, I played it twice in this tournament. Actually, it's okay to keep a negate because at least I'm assuming this is the Rumty or the Rint list running around has a lot of interaction with creatures. So negate actually usually ends up coming up and saving your Goldspan Dragon, which is extremely relevant. So I think in future matchups I keep the negate, but I think negate in this matchup, at least if they're running a lot of removal, and I believe both of these decks are running a bunch of Primal Mites and some Ram Throughs, it's better to keep your negate because like at the end of there will be a point in the game where that momentum switches, where aggro starts to slow down and your combo plan really starts to come online, and at that point it's more about them stopping your plan versus you stopping theirs. And yeah, and basically if you win that switch in momentum, if you get there and win it, you win the game. So yeah, 6 lands against aggro, not going to work. Follow that every time with this deck. This looks fine. It's a little risky. We don't have 3 lands, and we really need to hit that 3rd land. But once again, we do have Fire Prophecy, which will help us find a land and will remove an early threat. Choose the bottom of the Lord Drakus there. Seas will really help us get 2 Goldspan. So I like it with this hand. We find our 3rd land right off the bat, which is great. They open up with Lovestruck, so we're basically just ready to control that. I mean, they could throw out an Ooze here. That would be... I don't think that's the right play because Ooze is extremely valuable in this matchup. If they do throw one out here... Oh, okay. Yeah, if they do throw one out here, it means they probably have a really aggressive hand, so we should play into that. I like what I have. I don't really want to throw any of it away. The only thing that was questionable was the Seas, and then we draw a second one, so pitch the one Seas to the other Seas, and the hand fixes itself. This looks really good. We have both our mutate pieces, and we have a Goldspan. Our opponent runs out their Lovestruck. They could have Henge. Or this could just strictly be their best play. Could have another 1/1. Not really sure. After some thinking, we decided to go straight into Goldspan. It could get removed. That would be kind of a bummer. But I don't really want to mutate Drakus here. If I do lose the Goldspan after mutating Drakus, we kind of have nothing in our hand. Like, our hand's just dead in the water. Our Goldspan probably... Oh, yep, there's the Great Henge. Strangely, our Goldspan does not die here. If you're in this position, you can generally win the game from here. You have your Vadrock and your Drakus, and you have your Seize the Spoils in the graveyard. Yeah, and if you're playing against this deck, it's very dangerous to let a Goldspan Dragon live because, well, you can just... I'm pretty sure I just kill him here. It's super easy to just win the game in this situation. Once again, Seize the Spoils can be kind of tricky to get out of your hand, but if you manage to get into the graveyard effectively, it's an incredible combo piece. It helps you find your other pieces while producing mana as well, so you don't have to worry about... I mean, a big factor with the combo in this deck is you have to be relatively fast about it. The Greater Timer is your worst enemy. Because technically, a lot of the time, if you have an unsub, a Lord Drakus, a Prismari Command, and a Vadrock, you can just win the game. But the combo takes such a long time to execute. I'll demonstrate it later on. Yeah, the combo takes so long to execute on Arena that it's not going to work. So we found our Prismari Command, we found our Unsubstantiate, we have the Infinite here. Yeah, and we have a ton of mana to execute it. You should be able to kill them, no problem here. You have to float all your treasure tokens before you bounce the Goldspan. Just because if you choose to bounce it to basically reset all of the mutate triggers, but you don't float the treasure tokens, they're only going to tap for 1 and not 2. It's one of those obvious things. Like, well, yeah, that's really obvious, and then you accidentally don't destroy the treasure tokens, or you sacrifice the treasure tokens, and you're like, oh crap, okay, I'm kind of stuck now. Like, yeah, if I don't win here, we were gonna lose. He's gonna have a Scavenging Ooze online with a bunch of mana. We're not gonna be able to recur those spells anymore, and he has enough pressure on board with the Great Henge to fuel his hand and the Ooze and the Lovestruck Beast that, yeah, we're we're not going anywhere. Notably, I choose to target my gold span here to generate an extra 2 mana. It's kind of hard to know when to... Oh, yeah. So our opponent sees that he's dead. It'll take us a while to get there, but we will definitely beat the timer, and chooses to concede. So after some thinking, I believe I take out the Stroke and Riyadh Negate here. And that's the sideboard plan I stick with for mono green because, like I said, these mono green decks are running a lot of removal. And when that period of time comes where they start to get less aggressive and your combo plan starts to come online, you really don't want to give them the opportunity to derail that combo line, because that's how you lose the game. This hand looks fine. I have 2 Cinderclasms, so I can really control the Lovestruck from getting in, and that is how he's going to open up. I do need the Spikefield as a land because hitting those 3 initial lands are extremely important for this deck, especially since I'm keeping Seizes in the main deck. Like I said, those can get really stuck in hand. And okay, so he goes Tangled Florahedron. 2 1/1s on board. One of them gives you mana. Magic age-old rule: bolt the bird. We're bolting the bird. Get it out of here. Don't need that stuff here. The bad news is tempo-wise. Oh, huh. I was gonna say tempo-wise, he might not run out the Lovestruck because I took out all his 1/1s. But this either means that he has a very high chance of having a Great Henge, or he's just gonna run out another 1/1. Fortunately, we have Cinderclasm, so we don't have to worry about that. So after some deliberation, play a land, get that Seize out of here. We're not super, we don't want to take 5, but taking 5 isn't the worst thing in the world. And like I said, the hardest thing with Seize the Spoils is finding a place to play it. There comes that 1/1. We get hit for 5. Not ideal, but it is as it is. How about now we're much more concerned about controlling these 1/1s because 10 damage at 14 is a lot more than 5 damage at 19. Just going to pass the turn here. Lots of interaction. We have Cinderclasm up, we have Prismari Command up. Just want to be able to stop these 1/1s from attacking. Plays another 1/1. We are prepared for that. Unfortunately for our opponent, we did have the 2 Cinderclasms. I mean, this is a very reasonable play from our opponent, to be honest, because we've already used one. It's unlikely we have the second one, but unluckily we do have the second one. Just passes the turn. This is a pretty big indicator that our opponent probably has removal of some sort. And at some point, we're probably going to have to bait it out. We do have protection with the Unsubstantiate, but a lot of the time in the more aggressive matchups, you end up using the Unsub just for tempo purposes. The tempo game is as important as the combo game with this deck. You need to kind of know which route to take. Sometimes the combo game is simply too slow, and instead of holding all your cards to use that, or to go about that, you need to hold pieces and just try and protect your life total. And then eventually just swing in with dragons to win the game. So, I really need this land. So I'm probably going to exile the hazard. I choose to go with the expressive iteration. I can't justify not holding up removal for a 1/1 because we get absolutely blown out if we get hit for 10 here. It's going to be very, very hard to recover. Just runs out Gem Razor. Actually, this indicates that he just has a bunch of removal and 4-drops. Gem Razor is a little annoying because we can't really swing Gold Spend into it. But otherwise, I don't really care about it all that much. It's just really slow for what we're trying to do. Otherwise, we want to keep those lands rolling in. We are going to run out the Rodan here. This is primarily to try and figure out what kind of removal he has. And it looks like basically if he has a very aggressive draw here, we could see ourselves snowballing into a loss in a couple turns. So we want to encourage basically mitigating that super aggressive route. Opponent just swings in for 4. We're fine taking 4. I mean, it's not great, but it's just 4 damage. Life in this deck is very much a resource. I'm going to win multiple games at 1 life throughout this tournament. Goes for the Primal Might. I believe I unsubstantiate this. I'm not sure, in retrospect, that this was the right play. If you consider if we don't draw a gold span, this is the right play, because we need a win condition to close the game out. And if we lose all of our mutate creatures, we're not going to hit that point where we can start to reverse either tempo or damage. So yeah, we draw that gold span immediately, unfortunately, which does kind of punish our unsub on the Rodan, because, I mean, we don't have any protection for the gold span, A, and B, we don't, we could, that's really what it is, actually. We don't have protection for the gold span here, so if our opponent manages to shoot it down, we're not in the best spot. But we still have a lot of creatures to mutate with and get value, so us losing the gold span here isn't awful. However, we can just straight up win if the gold span goes unanswered. In the end, I want to bait out removal, so I'm going to throw that Rodan back out, and I kind of hope it just eats something. I'm going to try and force it by mutating right here. There's also kind of I want to hold up if he has removal, I'd rather him use it here. And he does. So he ran through the Bedrock. If I had gone and mutated the gold span, and he had removal for it and then left up a 1-1, that'd be really problematic. I kind of wanted to hold up the Prismari command. Unfortunately, that doesn't end up happening. But he doesn't have any 1-1s. Kind of luck out there. We take 4. Once again, not great, but we are still alive, which is a lot better than being dead. Play second Gem Razor. Once again, a little annoying because swinging Goldspan into it is kind of weird. But we have our Lord Drakis. We can get value, and while our opponent is pressuring our life total, it's not in an extremely difficult way. We end up mutating Bedrock or Rodan onto Lord Drakis for some value. We just need to be able to control the board a little bit. I want to cast and bring this on sub to hand. Unfortunately, I can't do that. But I think casting it here is a little better. Just trying to stave that pressure. And then adding the Cinderclasm to hand just in case he finds some 1-1s. We don't want Bloodstruck running us over. So bounce that Gem Razor back to hand. It discourages... Yeah, it basically makes it a lot harder for him to kill us. We also don't have to worry about face to save him because Rodan is a first striking flyer that can block the crap out of 3 health creatures. Opponent just goes in, decides not to attack, doesn't want to swing Gem Razor into Rodan and have it Cinderclasmed. Understandable. Just reruns out his Gem Razor. Yeah, I mean, we're fine with that. We are going to loot here. Try and find something to end the game with. Security Shelter. And unsub. Wow, that was a really good draw. We do have lethal here. Just get rid of, really, they rip apart the Maze Mount or the Cinderclasm. You don't really need any of those. There's a chance, the only thing you can really have here is Snakeskin Veil. So we're not super worried about interaction. Yep. Didn't need the Cinderclasm either. So, in order to win, we need exactly 6 mana after the Goldspan attacks, 2 to bounce the mutate creatures, and then 4 to mutate Rodan onto Goldspan. So we end up turning our Sujiri Shelter into mana. Goldspan kind of reproduces the mana that you use to cast it, and then the swing, proc green is to get through the reach from Gem Razors, so you can swing in to get that 6 mana. We bounce our mutate creatures, and then we can go to work. So here is an example of the bare bones combo. If you're playing this in paper, you can just demonstrate the loop and then say, yeah, you're dead. But because of how long it takes to do in game, you can't do that on Arena. So the combo is you deal 2, create a treasure token with Prismari off of the Bedrock cast to basically generate 3 treasure tokens. Lord Drakis will replace itself in terms of casting mana. You have to hold priority here because you need to bounce the Goldspan with Unsubstantiate before the Prismari command that's targeting it can kill it. So once again, we're going to generate 2 treasure tokens with the Prismari command and then Unsubstantiate the Goldspan Dragon before it dies. We also have to sacrifice all the treasures once again because if we don't, they only tap for 1 mana. And by doing this, we net 1 mana each rotation of the combo. We definitely don't have game because it's arena. Our goal is just to make a bunch of treasure, and not to kill him, because every third iteration of the combo you can hit the opponent for 2 instead of hitting your Goldspan Dragon, which is why in paper it's so much easier. But here, we're just gonna make a bunch of treasure tokens and then draw a bunch of cards, and basically with the mana and cards just have outs for his board and then kill him next turn. Strangely, our opponent does decide to concede when he sees that he's dead, even though he's kind of technically not because of arena. He didn't have to do that. I think that was nice of him, personally. I think he knew that we didn't actually have him dead here. Anyway, that's that for game 1. Anyway, that is the end of set 1 against Mono Green in this 5K weekend tournament using Jeskai Mutate. Like I said earlier, I did get relatively deep into this tournament. How deep? Well, you'll have to find out. If you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe. I will be uploading the other sets in this tournament relatively quickly. In the future, I am planning on uploading some ladder content as well, showing off some of the new D&D cards that are coming out. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you have any recommendations for things I should play or any changes you would like to see in the videos. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.